is an interesting story. Just checked in with my shipper, and he points to this little trailer, and he says, you know, you're gonna be picking up the freight that's on that trailer. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, the person who picked up my load, they had truck problems. So they dropped the trailer off, and they're, I guess, up here somewhere trying to get their truck fixed. But you and I, you guys, we're picking up this load. It's not a fantastic paying load by any means. I've got a vehicle to pick up. I got the broker up to 1,000 on that. 7,000 pounds worth of lumber. But I got him up to 1,000 on it, and that was not an easy feat. They had it posted on the load board for 800. And then I've got a little crappy little car to pick up from IAA in Missoula. I'm making my way to Washington, and then I'm going to drop down from Washington to California, and that's a whole other story. But for now, looks like we are recovering this pickup. So this poor guy, he had a, you know, he's had a tough time, and his customer hasn't gotten their product, and just, you know, all of that good stuff. They haven't had the best experience because, you know, Hotshot truck broke down. So one of those things. All right, one bundle on, and he's going back there to this guy's trailer. Go grab that other piece. What a bummer, you know? What a bummer for the customer, what a bummer for the carrier. It happens, you know, happens all the time. Even as proactive and as much money I spend on on maintenance and tires and, you know, trying to keep up with everything, stuff still happens. So it's just one of those things. Hopefully the guy can get his truck fixed, and hopefully I can get through this mountain pass that I have coming up with no issues, and hopefully we're all fine. We all live to run another day. Get this strapped down as quickly as I can because it is cold. It's about 18 degrees here at the state capital of Montana. It's a bit chilly. I can't feel my face. My face is frozen. My hands are frozen, and I'm dressed for comfort today. Because it's mostly just a driving day. So I am dressed for comfort, not dressed for the cold. So I'm trying to get in and out of the truck as quickly as possible. Ooh, so I can skirt on down the line.
I knew I was gonna have to tarp this freight. Of course, I asked the customer if I had to, and he said yes. My tarp was frozen. The tarps are really heavy. They were a bear to get unfolded just to get over this freight. It was 7,000 pound partial, 16 feet of deck space, and I had to crawl all over it and get it all set up and tarped. It was less than 18 degrees that morning. It was about 8:30 in the morning, and I know that I got sick tarping this load. This is the load, you guys, that got me sick. The freight was really easy because it was shaped so nicely, and it wasn't too tall, so it wasn't really terribly difficult to tarp the load. Then I had to put a bunch of bungees all over it, and it still took about an hour to finish this job.
I don't mind going to Copart or IAA, you guys. There they are when it's out in the yonders. I do not mind. I couldn't even pee, and the guy was already had the Buick on his forks and was ready to go. Like I couldn't even move fast enough for him. So me personally, I don't mind it. You know, it's like $1.50 a mile for this little car. I'm gonna drop it off in a few hours in Spokane, and continue on. So $1,000, $300. I mean, it's short miles. It's not the best money, but it gets me where I need to be. So I'm happy. I'm cool with that. Let's get on down the road.
little broke down Buick went to a private residence, and the guy lived way up at the end of a cul-de-sac that was up a big old hill. And he's like, well, I'd like to have it in my car, in my garage. And I'm like, yeah, right, dude. There was snow everywhere. I ended up rolling it off by hand, by myself, on the street that teed to his street. And they got all upset with me. And I'm like, dude, I'm not taking my rig up your street. It's not going to happen. Sorry. You can't even see the guy's house, but he's way up this cul-de-sac, at the end of the cul-de-sac, and there was no way for me to get up there and be angled in the right position to where this broke down vehicle could be rolled off. And that's something that customers just don't understand, but it's too bad. You guys know me. As soon as I have space open, if I can fill it, I'm certainly going to fill it. So I found a little auction. There was this F-350 at this auction that was right there also in Spokane, paying $550 going down to Ashland, Oregon. So I grabbed that, rolled it up onto the trailer, and started making my way closer to the lumber delivery. The lumber dropped off in Rochester, Washington, which is way south of Seattle, on my way towards the 5 to drop down into Oregon and then California. So it worked out nicely. The next morning I got to my lumber delivery in Rochester, Washington, unstrapped it, untarped it, did all of that good stuff. It took me longer to do all of that than it did to have this guy pull this freight off of my trailer. They weren't hurting for the freight, but they did order it several weeks before it actually got to them. But I was happy just to get them their freight and get on down the road. And the next day, here I am, dropping off that F-350 to a dealership in Ashland, Oregon. We'll look at the numbers in just a second here. It was not a very good trip up to Montana or back down towards California. So all in all, not a very good run, you guys. 2841 on the miles and a total of 5,100 on the revenue. It was $1,000 for the little Vegas partial I did, and then I took these 2 vehicles up to Montana. And then out of Montana, I pulled the lumber load and that broke down little car going over to Washington. And then I also pulled this truck going from Washington down to Oregon. And from Oregon, I deadheaded, because I was really sick, I deadheaded down to Central California for my next run.